Watching.
So we'll have everybody.
Watching.
All right, thanks, everybody. And, you know, we could open it up a little more if it's more comfortable for people, because we don't have a lot of audience right now. First of all, thank you, everybody, for volunteering to be on this committee. We have a big committee, but we also will have subcommittees, and I think we'll be able to break the work up, you know, very well. And there's a lot of, this is a really big undertaking. There's quite, if you've read the original comprehensive plan that was completed in 2016, there was quite a lot of work done before that, research with the townspeople. They had quite a lot of pieces and parts to it. I haven't been able to find what the original work group is that they did, but you know, they had a kind of a sketch of what they wanted to move forward with in the comprehensive plan, and I haven't been able to find that document online, but I'll have to talk to the to our town clerk and see if I can find it. But so it is multiple. It is a very big process, and I think it took really about 18 months for the plan, the original plan that was done in 2016, and with all the work behind it. So we're really undertaking something big, so I appreciate that. And so really what I wanted to kind of start the meeting, and actually Danny was just here, he just came in. I really wanted us to discuss the purpose, goals, scope, objectives, policies of the committee, and general expectations. I think first off, you know, we want this committee to be all of us working together, you know what I mean, colleagues working together. You know, sometimes we'll disagree on things, sometimes, and that's fine, because you have to listen to each other, and you learn from each other, and hey, I didn't think of that, that's a great idea, kind of thing, you know what I mean? And so, I think, and Danny, why don't you come up here, there's a spot right here.
We saved it, Gordon.
Appreciate it. Sorry. My dog chased a woodchuck out of our garden and then did not give up the chase.
So you did an impromptu woodchuck burial?
Oh, come to my house all the place.
You know, you can eat woodchuck.
Oh, my dog,
Okay.
No, really.
I don't know that you want to eat this woodchuck after my dog got out.
Oh, okay.
So, you don't have a woodchuck on the agenda, I'm sorry to say,
Maybe we should. Menaces.
Um,
Public menaces.
So I just wanted to get that out right in front, that this is gonna be very, we want this to be a very collegial environment, listening to each other, open to new ideas, and any kinds of things like that.
Oh, I love a good debate though.
A debate is fine.
Yeah.
A debate is different than,
What is progress without a debate?
you're absolutely right, Emily. Debate, we love the debate, but
watch out.
but there are other words related to debate that we don't welcome, I'll say.
I'm not into that.
No, okay, good. And of course, the purpose of this is to look and revise the original comprehensive plan. It was very well done, a really great job, but it's been 10 years. The recommendation to update comprehensive plans is really, you know, 7 to 10 years. So we're right on target, the lower, farther end of the target, but the town, there's a lot of things changing around us, and Anne Marie can speak to this as well. When you listen to the boards and some of the issues that come before the boards, there's so many new things, solar, you know, wind, all these different things that are coming out now, and we don't have the zoning code for it. And we encounter things all the time, so we hear from townspeople about things where the code is vague and it's not as easy to pinpoint and handle it correctly, or it needs to be adjusted because of changing times. So we're gonna look at all of that and kind of really pull things apart. I think the first piece, of course, is looking at the comprehensive plan, because that sets the direction, that's the vision statement for what we want our town to look like and be like. It doesn't necessarily have to change a lot, but we want it to really thrive. And so I think that, you know, we'll focus on the comprehensive plan, and later on, that will guide any changes to code, you know, zoning code or other things, that local laws, anything we might need. So Danny, I'll let you have a. couple of words, if you want.
Sure. Yeah, just to echo a lot of that. I mean, my first few jobs were in planning for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, for Cornell University. And the takeaway that I always return to is General Eisenhower's claim that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. So I'm not imagining that we're going to be able to, come to a lot of answers. The goal of a process like this is to come to a consensus on what we want, what challenges we see before us, what outcomes we desire, and that will guide the town board in making decisions. Because we do have a dynamic town here. I've heard some folks say that it's pretty sleepy here, and in some places that's true, and in some places it's not. And I don't think anyone can say that things like short-term rentals and data centers and solar farms aren't changing the way we live our lives. And we also have more young families than I think usually show up at town board meetings. They exist. So yeah, I want to be here mostly to listen.
Can I suggest that we find out who's representing what districts so that we have a good idea of,
Yeah, that's really our next step is to
Okay.
have everybody
Sorry,
introduce themselves, their background, what motivated them is a big thing. What motivated you? What did you think about why this is needed? Why did we need to do this? And just tell us a little bit about yourselves. I think that's really important. So we can start either corner, whichever.
Preston Lambert. I've lived in the town of New Baltimore since fall of 2017. My wife and 2 daughters own a farm just around the corner over here. What brought us to the area is we like rural living. We enjoy quietness. We enjoy the freedom to be able to raise much of our own food. A little bit of background from me. So I'm a director of virtual design and construction for a large construction company based out of New York. I'm responsible for all of the company's work in New York State. I've got 26 years experience in that, a lot of massive construction project planning, working with project management. And before moving here, I've always lived within 10 minutes from here. So I grew up in Selkirk. I lived in Kentucky for a little while. So similar roots to being here prior to that.
and what about your wife?
Same.
Some of us are stay-home women and some of us have a hell of a
So I am a senior project accountant for
Say what
a
I know.
national construction company, mechanical construction company. I am also a business development and estimating coordinator for the same company. I help with the farm. I'm a caregiver for my aging grandmother and my mother. I have 2 kids, a crazy husband.
Well, that goes without saying.
And I grew up in Coxsackie, so the close knit, everybody knows everybody.
Mhm.
We have 88 acres and just
Whose property did you buy?
the
Yes.
Kungsters,
The sellers.
Walter Sellers old
Right,
house.
got it.
And what really motivated you to want to be on this committee? What drove you to think you'd like to be a part of it?
So I want to preserve kind of what the roots of the town are all about. I'm passionate about farming. I hope to retire to that one time. But I want to ensure that that's available. If my children plan to stay here, I want them to have that same ability, and the freedom to be able to do that on my property as well.
So I have the roots. My one daughter is going to be a large animal vet. It's important that she can practice in the areas she grew up with. And I also have the growth. I understand coming from a mechanical contracting company that growth is needed, but it needs to be controlled and done logically.
And what was your name?
Marguerite
Marguerite.
Lambert.
Okay, Frank?
My name is Frank Negro. I live in the Hamlet. We moved here in 2011, which depending on where I'm standing, either makes me a new guy or an old guy in the town. Down in the Hamlet, it makes me an older guy. My job right now is taking orders from the missus. I'm retired. But when I was working, a lot of what I did was planning related. I was responsible for strategic planning for St. Mary's Healthcare System up in Amsterdam. I did technology strategy planning at Albany Medical Center. I did some IT planning at USC, the one in California, not South Carolina. And I was on the comprehensive planning committee for the town of North Greenbush, the first comprehensive plan they put together. Deb's right. If you've never been through this, it's a lot of work. Why do I want to do this? Sometimes I ask myself these questions. Because as Deb mentioned and as Denny echoed, there's a lot of change going on. There's a lot of change going on here in the world around us. Several of the times that I was involved in strategic planning initiatives, it was because organizations were growing and had no path for how to grow. No vision for what they needed to be or wanted to be, and no concept of how to build the structure that allows you to get from here to there. And I think if we make it out the other end successfully, that's what will happen. That's what I'm hoping to add to.
Donna Carlson, lived in town of Baltimore for 35 years. I've been on the zoning board of appeals, served on that for a few years, got involved a little bit with the original comprehensive plan, not on that committee, but on a different venue of that. My husband also owns a business on W, commercial business, and concerned about any changes to the zoning that may happen there, or what people are looking for to do there. And keeping things like data centers and solar and things like that, keeping that stuff under control. And why I'm doing this, I don't know either.
We could get therapy after.
That's about it, just want to get involved again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jim?
Evening, everyone. I'm Jim Eckel. If the name sounds familiar, it's an uncommon name. I know that. It's because I've run for office locally a couple times. I lost both times, but I still want to be part of government. Now, there's an old saying from, I believe, from my favorite author, Robert Heinlein: change is inevitable, progress ain't. And a planning document like this is the way to do what we can do to make sure that change is progress. I mean, we can't secede from the 21st century. Time goes on, but we don't have to be overwhelmed by it. Will you indulge me? Can I read something? This is not something I wrote. A couple days ago, for some reason, I thought I needed to know about what size New Baltimore is in terms of area. A little bit more than 43 square miles. But thanks to the miracles of modern technology, I stumbled across the Google artificial intelligence outline. And when you consider this was written by a robot, it's pretty good. This is
Still no data center.
this is an excerpt from the outline. I claim no credit for it. New Baltimore, New York, is a quiet, picturesque town Located in the northeastern corner of Greene County, along the western banks of the Hudson River. It offers a scenic rural atmosphere. I can't read my handwriting here. While being just minutes away from the major capital district hubs. The primary hamlet of Baltimore is renowned as one of the most well-preserved and intact historic Hudson River ports. Dating back to the 1790s, the area features stunning, I'd say, architecture spanning the federal Greek revival and Victorian styles. And doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't that sound like a nice place to live? It is a nice place to live, and I would like to keep it that way. We can't keep the future from coming at us, but we can brace ourselves for it and construct our town government to deal with it. I should say also, by profession, I'm a lawyer. I didn't work in planning up at all in my career. Most of my career was in the Environmental Conservation Department. But I know how governments work and can't work, and I want to be part of this and to make a contribution, because I'm not going to live forever, regrettably. And there you have it.
I'm not gonna go get, do you want to speak?
Sure. My name's Robert Krasny. I live in District 3, Ellie. I've lived here for about 50 years. So I was born here, raised here, and as a teenager, couldn't wait to leave, right? There's nothing to do, and then as an adult starting a family, couldn't wait to get back. So other than my time in the service, we've lived on Honey Hollow Road, and my wife, 2 boys, obviously interested in the future of our town, interested in, being on the west, very rural side of town, making sure that there's attention put there, and no offense to the hamlet, right? There's a diverse town here that we're all aware of. When the email was coming out about this, we were literally going through an issue on our road, which if you know East Honey Hollow and Honey Hollow, it's about 2 miles long, and there's 3 abandoned homes on it. And one of them, junked cars, trash, open dwelling, dangerous, unsafe, been like that for years. That's the timing of that happened to be right, and that was one of the reasons why I initially volunteered for this. I'm also a commissioner for the Medway Critical Fire Department. I've done that for about 10 years. So again, a lot of local roots, a lot of care in the future of our town, and certainly have some issues that need to be addressed for the future.
We're gonna probably, I was telling everybody, and I'll just mention it now, we want to kind of have a much more comfortable space, so we were going to try to do these meetings, kind of alternate between Cornell and Medway Fire
I could
Department.
probably get you in, I know a guy.
Lots of, yeah. More tables, more space, because we have subcommittees, so
Sure.
that would be great. Thank you. Henry?
My name's Emery Bagney. I live up on Rocky Road, which is up in High Mount. I think it's probably 800 feet above sea level. Might be one of the highest points in our town. The reason I want to be involved is I'm on the planning board, and there are a lot of issues that come before us that I feel very strongly should not be occurring in our town, because it not only isn't environmentally unsafe, but it's unsafe for the future of health of the people that live in the town. I also wanted to be involved in ensuring that we had the simplification in the processes that our residents have to comply with, that are not costly and overwhelming when they want to do the simple things that people want to do with their land, like giving their children property or putting another building on their land. Some of our restrictions, I think we have to take a closer look at. I also, am very interested in ensuring that we create some type of document that we're not saying no to solar farms. We're not saying no to data centers. We're not saying no to battery,
Energy source.
energy source. But we're going to make it, difficult unless they comply with what this community wants from them. Because I don't think we'll be successful just saying no. But I think we have to, create documents and get something from these people, because our solar farms, we get nothing from, and they are polluting. I mean, if you look at DEC's, draft hazardous waste policy that has not been promulgated yet because of political issues, I'm sure, in regard to solar farms. I don't think anyone could possibly support them. They're on our wetlands. They're all right on our creeks and going into the river. So I think that to protect our community, we have to say, okay, this is what it is. This is what you have to give back to this community. And hopefully they might not want to come to our community, you know? In my background, I have, in regard to planning, I've been involved in government planning at many different levels. And I also have been involved in real property management and development of construction projects from the site identification phase to sign off on completion and inspection, including the budgets, approval of the documents, all the different architectural and engineering documents. And I don't have any children, but I have nieces that, but they're all living in this town, actually. I just left them eating my dinner. And they're very interested in retaining the agricultural, rural parts of our town. I mean, we have the hamlet. We have a very diverse town, actually. And I think we have to retain that and have different supports to sustain each aspect, the rural agricultural, the hamlet, the businesses on IW. So I don't think it's hard to address all these. I think we have a tough job because you don't want to be too restrictive, but you also don't want to have all the loose ends that we have. And I think sometimes it's impossible not to have some of those loose ends. Because sometimes on the planning board, people come before us and it's like, oh boy, you know, what are we supposed to do with this, you know? And, but we try to be fair and give, and
Hold their hand.
yeah, well, and steer them in the right direction, you know? Because you have a big project that you'd like to do, and there's so many issues, major issues like water, sewer, you know?
We already have sewer.
Oh, yeah, sewer, yeah.
We just need water.
And you're on the Hudson.
No, there's tons of water.
Yeah.
But I think that you had a nice balance there, Anne Marie, where you talked about not necessarily saying no, but also holding them to our requirements and what, because I've seen even in the planning meetings that where you've had to say, no, this was not done, this was not done, and so on and so forth. So,
But, and also, we do have a issue with, implementation. If we have all these rules, you have to have that, you have to be able to support that and say, I mean, we had the first solar company completely change and not follow their specs. And the only reason we find out is because Robbie was flying his plane over it and saw that they had gone beyond the drawings and the site plan. So, but how, okay, so then you go back, because I'm a little tougher sometimes, because I want to go after them, you know? You don't do that. And you don't do it for a lot of reasons. The main reason is that you came before a local group they agreed to help you, and the citizens of the town, are the ones that suffer from their non-compliance. But we really don't have the mechanisms in place to go and say to them, okay, you owe us $500,000 now, buddy.
Pitchfork in the truck.
We don't have the man,
You know what, I go with that, yeah.
we don't have the manpower to even follow up on everything.
No,
as
we
need
don't.
to.
So, you know, when these big companies are coming to us, and I don't wanna say no to them, but if we don't create the proper documents, and I think we should say no. I mean, I talked to someone from Schoharie, the town of Schoharie, many moons ago, when we got our first solar project in front of us. And I said, what do you do with these solar projects? And what he told me is that we make it real expensive for them to walk in the door. I said, okay, what's real expensive? And he said, the application fees are over $100,000, $200,000, which should be. Because, well, here's another small town, you know, and you go out into Greenville, oh my God, the first time I drove down 32 and saw the farmland with, dude, as far as you can see, there's solar panels.
Mhm.
I mean, that farmland will never be usable again.
And the application fees are the municipality's only moment of leverage.
Right now, well, there's other things about we talked about.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I don't wanna cut you off because I disagree with you. I
No,
very
I know.
much do agree with you, but,
Let's move on.
yeah, we got a few more introductions.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rowley. I'm from upstate New York, but not specifically right here, in Rochester area. And proud to say that my family's been farmers between New Jersey and New York, mostly in New York since 1635. Professionally, I work, well, for an aerospace company, but most of my career has been in creative process planning and support, workflow design, making sure that everybody has the tools, information, and support and understanding and buy-in that they need to reach a common goal. I'm good at seeing around corners with creative processes and sort of seeing how getting a sense of what a particular part of the process will take in terms of an effort lift and resourcing both sort of dollars and cents or tools, but also just like personal burnout. I'm somebody who is a lot of what my career involves is right sizing, planning work for execution, and keeping important milestones, deadlines, horizons visible to different stakeholders throughout the whole process. So, obviously, some of the stuff from work is what I hope to bring to this group. But what's really important to me is that this stays a place that is not a space, that is not there to just be consumed by somebody who wants to extract where the sunshine falls or extract, our bluestone, or there's a place for commerce. There's a place for utilizing the resources that have invited progress to this point. But at no point should the place where we're also invested become a place that just, by habit or by trend says, oh, there's money over there, I'll go do it. Like whether it's Airbnbs or solar farms or data centers or batteries that are going to blow up, we can't forget our own voice, especially as, I haven't seen a single thing like these solar farms where anybody really had to do it so much as wanted the money. And, that's why there is so much money for freeing up situations like that. Because what's really valuable is the thing you give up. And that's what I want to keep in insight as we go through this process together.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine Brando. This is the love of my life here at Andrew Rowley. I'm from, he already did it. I'll give him a shout out because we're a team. I grew up in Catskill, New York, so I'm from Greene County. We've been in New Baltimore, Earlton, it says, right, as our address, because we're straight from me on Yellow Road. For about 5 years, farming for 4, shepherding for 3. And in that time, I've learned that my family, Black folks here in this area, have been farming since the 1820s between Greenville, Coxsackie, and Carroll. That builds a different kind of pride. I don't know how much farther back it goes because not all the records are available, but that's really huge for me. And so I have a real sense of connection to being here. I'm very interested in community. I'm curious about all of you. You might notice my little circle. You see me taking notes on people's names and what they like and what I do for work and what I think I bring to the subcommittee that I end up working with or being a part of is I've been a facilitator for about 20 years, facilitating group processes. I work with state organizations, I work with nonprofits, I work with private entities, I work with all kinds of identity groups, service members, veterans, their families, children with disabilities, people in foster care, all different kinds of intersectional, unique experiences, and then with planning around not just the beginning, but the middle and the end and the follow-up of what it takes to do things and actually navigate change together. So I also bring, you might see a little bit of energy. I got to move around a little bit in my seat here, but I'm excited to meet all of you. And I feel like that's probably the cleanest, shortest intro I can give.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Fall. I spent 40 years working in engineering and science. First in nuclear physics, and then I had a revelation and went into medical imaging and worked on some of the first CT scanners and MR scanners, and they PET MR scanners and PET CT scanners. I've done research, obviously. I have done a lot of management with groups up to about 12 people. And I have been part of the product conceptualization process, where you have to decide for the company what the next generation CT is going to look like for the next generation MR. And I've worked a lot with customers on their research projects, guiding them in the direction that my company wanted them to work in. So I retired, and I looked around, and somebody, I'm always backing into things. Somebody suggested that I run for town council, and I did. And I'm a town council member here in New Baltimore now, much to my surprise, actually. But
I have a shield up, so.
I say mean stuff to you on Facebook now.
I would never.
You've never been in the German business group. If you think that the New Baltimore Town Council is rough, you haven't seen rough. So, but I've got 8 grandkids, and when I moved up here in 2018, I wasn't sure, but I like it a lot now, and I want my grandkids to be able to live here when they're out of college and pursuing careers of their own. And certainly I want my own kids to live here.
I'm John Cashman. My wife and I have lived in the hamlet for over 20 years. And for the past 20 years before I retired, I ran building departments here in Baltimore, in the town of Catskill, and the town of Clemens, which meant I was also a zoning officer for those towns and the liaison for planning and zoning boards. So any application that went to any of those boards, I had my hand into, and so I thought I could put some input into what works and what doesn't work with zoning and planning and code enforcement, so that's why
I'm Kathy Donovan. My husband, Brian, and I joined the community about 16 years ago with our kids when we bought Shady Harbor Marina out of bankruptcy. The property had really been run into disrepair, and we have spent, countless hours, days, months, years a lot of money and a lot of effort in rebuilding it to what it's become today. And we're very, very proud of the property that it is. We've traveled the Hudson River and East Coast by water for the past 20 years. And I can tell you, this is one of the most beautiful pieces of, area on the Hudson River as well as down below. We've had the honor, we own the restaurant as well. We've had the honor of hosting weddings and celebrations of life and baby showers, bridal showers, milestone birthdays, and everything at the restaurant. We've hired many members of this community, their children, their grandchildren, their nieces and nephews, giving them their first paycheck. I've watched the children grow. We've had families with 2 and 3 and 4 kids that have worked with us over the course of time, sometimes 4 at one time. And it's been, one of my greatest honors is just watching these kids grow and seeing what happens. Also in that 16 years, watching the difference of those children and what COVID did to them, and workforce development, trying to teach them basic skills. So we feel very invested in this community. We did obviously, we looked at a project here a couple of years ago and had some challenges. But we're in a position where this property is, it needs to be developed. There's changes in the community, there's changes in the industry. And as the stewards of this land for the last 15, 16 years, we really want to make sure that it's developed properly, and that there is, that there's growth, and that we can help to bring new families to this community. We also believe there's a very delicate balance in preserving the historic and rural nature of this town, but also taking advantage of some of the the infrastructure and real plan development. I was on the Chamber of Commerce. I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce of Schenectady and Capital Region for probably 15 years. I just kept getting rolled over. I was part of a strategic planning committee at one point. So I do know a little bit about the process. Obviously a different town. And my experience, I have financial experience, management experience, marketing experience, operational experience, kind of worn a lot of hats over the course of the past 30 years that we've been in business. Before we bought the property, we have been business owners for over 20 years. So we've had a lot of experience in both business to business as well as business to consumer. So I'm looking forward to bringing my experience and hopefully helping to be part of this process.
Thank you. Most of you already know me in some way or another. Daniel Ferry, you can call me Danny or Dan, I don't care, just don't call me late for supper. I shared a little bit about my background in planning, and I have to say I'm really excited about this because we're off to a better start than I've seen in a long time. Something that a lot of small towns struggle with is issues of vision and agency. The idea that we're sort of powerless in the face of bigger problems. And it's rarely true. And something that brought me a great amount of pride in working for the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and then Cornell University is going and saying, oh, actually, no, here are your pressure points. And you can say no.
Yeah.
At the same time, I've seen a lot of towns sort of sleepwalk into, well, our tax base is hollowing out, and we like the way things are, and the tax base is hollowing out, and we're not going to do anything about that. So the idea that I'm hearing, never new development ever again, but let's make new development work for us. Like let's evaluate every project not from an sure whatever, give me the money, or absolutely nothing, never on my land, but a nuanced, careful, what will make this town stronger is what I'm hearing from around this table, and I'm really excited for it.
I'm really overwhelmed. I can't speak. So I've lived in New Baltimore, I live in the Hamlet, and for not yet 7 years. So I'm kind of a newbie as well. And in those few years, I ended up getting involved in a lot of different things, the Conservancy, and then all of a sudden I was running for office and in 24 started to be on the town board. I lived for 40 years in Queensbury, New York, which is about 10 miles south of Lake George. And it was a very beautiful place when I went there. And it still is beautiful, but what I see happening to it is really disturbing me. It's the roads are packed. You know, it's not the place it was. And again, I get it. I struggle because I believe, you know, that things have to change, and some things do have to change, and some things are good, but it gets to be overwhelming. And I think, to echo Frank, there's not planning behind it. There's not care being taken. And one of the things that I've been working on here is very much like that. When we talk about, a lot of us have been talking about the truck traffic situation in town. And I really see that as such a lack of planning, where nobody even looked at what the outcomes, what the problems could be with it, and didn't have any foresight into what they were doing when they built this huge industrial complex. Now, of course, that has many benefits, jobs, and it does a lot of work that is relevant and helpful. But again, it's just you slap it on, and then it's 10 years later, it's like, well, now what do we do, and how do we fix it? That's not going to cost $20 million or $50 million or something like that. So I really wanted to, I think we all feel very much the same, and I'm glad to see that we all respect what the real beauty and important things in this town that we don't want to change. And at the same time, being careful about when we do see something that we think is a good idea for the town, we handle it properly, we handle it carefully, we don't get it overblown. We're not, just overdoing it. And we see the example in so many towns, and I think we can look to them and say, okay, that's where we have to go, and what's our strategy to prevent it, yet still thrive, still do new good things, but still thrive. So, that's it. My background is I spent 30 years in the state health department, which is why I'm sometimes drooling and not able to think straight. You want to talk about some tough stuff over there. And of course, COVID was the topping off when I retired right after COVID, and that really taught a lot. That was quite an experience. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm really excited about this group. And you all sound so great. I'm so excited to know you. So I'm actually going to give the audience a chance to say anything that they would like to say.
Just soaking it all in.
Ellie, you're not going to be quiet, are you?
Now, how can you speak to me then? Okay. All right, Dan. She's already been watching it. My name is Ellie Alfeld. I bought the old farm in 1970 for $20,000. And my husband, who's passed, and I manufactured, built, developed the land, and built 7 houses. I am the mother of 3, the grandmother of 14, and I think I had 5 or 6 great-grandchildren. I have no idea. Don't care. Doesn't matter now. I'm past the point. No, they all moved out of state. I have been sitting with this board, babysitting this board, or however you want, making a pain in the ass of this board since 1986. I have set aside a chair, and I've warned everybody, the day I die, my name goes on the back of the chair. I have watched people abuse, get abused, not get what they know they're entitled to, not be able to develop those things which would benefit their home and this town, but lack of information wasn't there. and it's a crying shame, and I'm the first one to scream and holler about it. I don't care, because you can't hurt me. I'm too old to be hurting. But I think, and I said this to Deb, and I said to her, I think the best thing you can start with this town is what I have said all along. You have to meld into something that's working as a whole and not piecemeal. When you had a fire department out in Greenville area, another one now by the river, and they very rarely ever get together unless somebody's parading. And parading doesn't get us anywhere. I have suggested, even, as I said to Deb, holding a meeting in the firehouse makes them hear what you're talking about and thinking about, and maybe being interested in getting involved. And that's all it takes. You gotta wake up the sleepy dog.
A lot of people said, refer to the diversity of the town, and we've talked about having our meetings in,
Right.
moving them both to Medway and.
And I
as well
think it's
to
a
here.
great idea.
And because and that was something I've learned too, is people said that the town used to be such a tighter community. It was a real community, and they missed the events. They missed those times where people just were together and related to each other and had that same, love of the place. And so I think that that's something as well that we can kind of try to build back a little bit with this plan if we
That's
can.
very true. I mean, you look at our district parks, if
Yeah.
everyone knows we have district parks, right?
Right.
They all, when I was a kid, we all rode our bikes to Silver Lake Park, and each
Yeah.
District 2 park had kids, District 1 park, we get together, we play baseball games against each other, and, you don't see that anymore. There's
And
one
in
park
District
still
1,
running
the
in
kids
District
would
2.
do all the painting of the
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah, it
And
was great.
the
And-
fire company would throw a steak roast,
Mhm.
and remember?
Yeah.
This was all bringing you together. And once you can do that, at least you can exchange ideas. Maybe they're not gonna be the best, but until you throw it out there. But I'm saying, if you don't
You're in the
speak
young
it, they
category.
don't know it, or they don't hear it. And that's why I think you people can be the most important thing this town can have, if you can stick to it long enough. And that's a job, a real job.
But also we have to take in, I think, I work the polls,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really wonderful thing that everyone should
Oh,
experience.
it's so much, it's so exciting and exhausting at the same time.
But I've noticed for the first time in the last year and a half, we have people under 70 coming in to vote. I mean, some of them even have children. It's like the whole room gets all excited because
Yeah.
we have a community, I think we're in transition. We have many seniors,
Yes.
thank goodness, but we are transitioning and younger families are moving in, which is very important because I don't think we have enough kids to ride bicycles. to
We
the
don't have
parks now.
enough kids to take care of $300,000 parks.
Yes, well, I don't know how, I don't know which one that is.
I count kids, you know that.
But, so I think we're going into an exciting era, actually.
Yeah, understanding our demographics and how they have changed and what direction they're going is very important for us.
As part of the work product, we're trying to determine here.
Right.
And who's our other community member?
Yep. that's it.
Well, I'm so funny,
Amy,
to be
you know.
honest, I guess I was somewhat misinformed, but I thought that this was gonna be a meeting about like what's happening with 144. And so I, came and I even said to Daniel, I'm like, is there a meeting? And I just feel so lucky because I stumbled onto this. And I
See?
have to say, as just a person who lives in town and I'm so impressed and I'm so like heartened by the commitment of this group and the
There are
level
people
of
who care.
expertise. So.
Can you continue that, because I feel like we all nailed showing up. Seriously, I'm sorry, not to step on that is important, like what we all have in common here is like, very few of us are elected, but like, this was the right size for me because I'm not elected. I had no idea that I would meet the coolest person in town here tonight, but like,
Oh, snacky, I got bigger than you.
Comes here at every town board meeting.
it's really cool,
Planning
like,
board.
Since 1986, I've been in this room.
I didn't know you had a last name.
I've had a few, thank you very much.
I want to point out, we have some really awesome resources as in Greene County, like the GIS resources in particular. That could be useful. You know, those GIS resources were not in place the last time that the comprehensive plan was written, and they could be really informative, not only for the subcommittee work, but for sharing that info with each other or providing insight to our friends on the other side of the owl. You know, I feel like what I'm afraid of is that this could become like an anxious or nasty situation to hang out in. And like, what would have to be true for that to be the case is like, somebody would have to feel unheard, and somebody would have to feel like it's not worth doing the work to get heard. And, you know, I just point out, like, for example, the GIS stuff, so that, you know, members of this community or elsewhere might not be aware that for a lot of things that concern public resources in Greene County, there's a great website with a great map with lots of info layers where you can find out about a region where maybe you can't go stand. And, or you could share that info or use it as a starting point for discussing what you think is going on or what the data suggests is going on in a specific spot.
I just want to note, I believe that they contract out for their GIS specialists and they make sure to say on their website, this is for your benefit. Don't trust us that any of this is accurate.
Well, sure. I mean, that's.
You're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, are you the lawyer that wrote that? But like, you know, I'll say like, you know, what the GIS data will show you is where the good soil is supposed to be. It's not going to show you where the good soil is. You know, it's going to show you, you know, if you turn on the layers for aerial photography from 1970, you know, you can see what she got for $20,000, or you can see how, you know, how your land used to be used. You know, you can get a sense of, you know, were there kids on the playground in 1995 when the plane flew over? You know, there's this wonderful data set that maybe unreliably is linked to this place where we all live and that we're here to discuss.
If you can share that link and.
Sure, it's ImageMate Online is what you search, ImageMate Online Greene County.
Yeah.
And you can just do a public login.
Yeah, but you're right, those are the kinds of resources we're gonna need for this planning, you know, to kind of set us, like, you know, get us on the level of, okay, this is where we are, this is where it can go.
Without feeling like we have to go drive around everywhere,
Yeah.
you know, like.
Yeah.
You're right, I use that a lot in code enforcement.
Yeah.
And, well, of course, I get a lot of people call me, his garage is now my property. I said, don't trust those property lines.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah, that's.
but yeah, it's a great tool.
Yeah. You can.
The property inventory that I'd like to do with this comprehensive plan, you know, we hear so much about how there's no affordable housing, and I think all of us have driven around town and been like, abandoned house, abandoned house, abandoned house.
Painful. It's painful, especially anybody who knows anybody who is looking to live close to where they grew up, and how those prices have changed dramatically in just the last 5 years, you know, last 10 years.
Well, what about the abandoned houses that have the red X on them? And you know, they're not doing any of us a good service.
Well, that's what we're saying. If there was something to be done with that inventory, that was actually exciting. I was a little bit excited about it. Obviously, agriculture is what I'm interested in, but I was a little excited about that subcommittee because I thought you drive around a lot and you're like, can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know what I mean? Like what this would be like as somebody's home.
Yes.
But, and that's one of the things that actually what you referenced, even the property tax history and stuff for places is located through this ImageMate search. We've used it for all kinds of different things and the links within it. But that might even be a helpful resource for learning more about who did this belong to, what's the situation now. Yeah, all that stuff's listed there, all those records, so.
We also have a wealth of knowledge in this community, of people who can confirm what's on the image. And, you know, it might not be, you have to drag them out though, because, I think it would be very interesting, maybe have some type of forum, you know,
Yeah.
where they could come and talk about their farm or, you know, because we do still have people in this community that their families have been farming for hundreds of years.
Well, that is one of the things that we have, just mentioned later, is to definitely have, you know, public forums where we invite people to come in. And I know in the original comprehensive plan, they actually did like surveys and interviews and talked to people and, you know, brought all that information in. And that's what I actually did with my dissertation. I did tons of interviews and observation and stuff. And that really gives you the real picture of what you're
Do you
talking
have
about.
access to some of those old surveys and things? I made a note on that.
That's what I have to try to
Okay.
find them in our records, you know, I haven't seen them yet. And that's what, there's a document that they wrote, which is like pre-planning for the 2016 comprehensive plan. And I haven't been able to find that yet, so.
With the citizens group,
The
right?
citizens
So,
group,
so if you
exactly.
Google the name of that, so I did that
tried to-
last night.
yeah, I
And
couldn't
I
get
only
it.
found one link, and I'll maybe share it with the group, but
Yeah.
it's tied to like this
Yeah.
this site's Town of New Baltimore's like
Right,
website.
But it's kind of like a baby copy of.
It's like- and it's
of
like-
this 2016.
Yeah,
It's not
that
the
makes sense.
citizens planning work, that's what I was trying to find.
Oh,
So, but, you know,
That's
I'll
the
talk to
closest.
town clerk and see what we can find, and, so, yeah. So,
Well, you know, the people that were on the, okay, Nick, Shelley,
Mark
Most-
Peckham, who is, on this committee, right,
right?
he was on
We are missing a few people.
Yeah.
Just in terms of who showed there. There are some people who do care deeply, but just couldn't be here tonight.
mhm,
it, yeah,
might be interesting to
yeah.
talk to someone, you know.
So, because this is kind of our initial meeting, I just wanted to get some like basics out of the way, and I just want to make sure we do it, have enough time. So we decided, we talked about the fact that we will try to rotate between Medway and Cornell, and that'll be a much nicer arrangement, because we are gonna have subcommittees. There's lots of tables and space where we can, so we were kind of envisioning with the full committee at first, we would, operate as the full committee. We kind of give each other, you know, the, updates from the work, from the subcommittees and from the full committee. And then, break out into like breakout groups for the subcommittees. So the firehouses will really help us with that quite a bit. I guess the previous comprehensive plan I looked and, they met monthly. I don't really know what their structure is in terms of subcommittees and such, but I thought it might be easier if we did meet like monthly and we could have part of the meeting, to the full committee and then break out to the subcommittees, because it's hard to get so many people together, and as much as we can, it would be great to get the whole group, you know, as much together as possible. So I don't know if how do people feel about a monthly meeting? Is that a doable thing?
Yes.
Or, yeah, okay, too long, too little, or good?
Deborah, how long is this process gonna take?
Well, that's what I was saying at the beginning. The last one took a year and a half just for the plan and all of the work of the citizens group prior to it. Now, hopefully we'll be able to use some of that, but things have changed, so that data will need to be updated as well. But, at least a year and a half, I would say. I mean, it depends on, and also our subcommittees are so focused on specific groupings that a lot of that can be carried forward and maybe brought into discussions with zoning and planning and other things, you know, where we can start to operate on some of the things we've discovered and talk through. So, but I think those are all the kinds of things we have to talk about as we go through. So we set 90 minutes for tonight. Would 90 minutes be a good idea for each month?
Do you think we should, to start off, maybe have 2 meetings a month?
I was wondering if we
Because,
could do that.
you know, to determine the, strategy that we're going, how we're going to approach this.
Yes.
I think we have to design something so that it's not overwhelming for everyone. You know, and I think that has to be done before you send people out to subcommittees.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, because we could all be, you know, out there in the boonies, not knowing what, you know, we need a cohesiveness.
Absolutely.
And I don't think to start one meeting a month is gonna do that.
Yeah, I
mean,
would.
And I understand we're all busy, I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy, but if we really want to do this and get it done within 5 years, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, if, you know, the next meeting could be 3 weeks or even 2 weeks, and I don't know how people feel, but, and again, you know, if you can't make it, you can't make it, like, some people couldn't make it tonight, but
What do you
to
want to
get
achieve?
a jump start, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree to kind of put us all in a direction, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
If we immediately break
absolutely.
out into subcommittees,
Yeah.
we're gonna be going all in different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I think actually, even before we break out into subcommittees, we might want to have a public forum. So if we kind of have a few meetings where we're getting our direction, we're starting to hone in on some things, and then have a public forum for feedback, and then we would go into more subcommittee work as well.
You
Or
know,
maybe a survey and,
A survey.
you know, I think that's almost the first step,
Yeah.
find out. from the
This was,
community.
the public was invited to this too, right?
they're invited and
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, I
and
thought
they're
so.
on- And also they're on
Yeah,
the
okay.
video.
But
too.
this is a crowded room, people, be aware. And our supervisor and our town can tell you, in general, this room for regular town board meetings are approximately 3 people.
LED one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't count myself sometimes.
I don't know, there's something nice this.
I watch at home though.
Yeah,
Just since the new board has come in because they
And
want
in
to
the
find
past,
out
we've
what
had
they
some
think
big
was.
meetings.
I watch it.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
big news. Back to the strategy here.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the previous comprehensive plan. Could this be used as the starting point
Yeah.
for each section and maybe coordinated so that whatever is not in here is
Yeah.
put in one of the right section so that we have some kind of outline
Oh,
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think it has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because otherwise, we don't want to start from
Right,
scratch.
because this is great, right?
Yes, it
I mean,
is. Right.
it's good guidance, a ton of work went into it, as you said, there's some
And it's
holes, right,
organized.
that need to be addressed.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's definitely
exactly.
the outline for
Yeah.
this as well.
Mhm.
Now, is this referred to when, like, say someone does come to the planning board? Is this part of the zone? I'm not understanding, is it how much,
Well,
if this is implemented
yes.
into the zone?
Well, there is during the application process, there's a couple of lines that say, is this consistent with the comprehensive plan?
Okay,
Okay, so now, here we have solar farms coming in. That certainly is not consistent with the comprehensive
right,
plan,
okay.
but,
Right.
they're here because, well, for many reasons, that people don't want to say no, which my professional opinion, that's wrong. I mean, I think that we should vote no, and if they want to sue us, because, like you say, we have to take a stand on these, and we didn't have the backup, plan to say, this is what we want. We had no support, the county takes all the money from the pilots, I mean, it's a joke. Their DEC is a joke. I have a lot of experience with DEC, unfortunately, and, you know, they come in and these solar companies do whatever they want. I mean, I made a joke one night because they, found on wetlands and there's, I forget the name of the bird.
Yeah,
Ellie
I
Lake.
know.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So they come in and they say, oh, well, we
The
found,
decommissioning plan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
no,
that
it's not
was-
the decommissioning.
No,
That's
that
just part
was
of
a bird that lived in the ground up.
Ms. Carlson, generally, the comprehensive plan doesn't have legal force, but it's meant to
Okay.
guide decision makers.
decision,
So like as a very generic example, I'm on the town board and I'm in charge of the Parks Department budget. It is my personal belief and understanding, based on my lived experience, that these parks don't get used that often. I don't know if that's true. I have heard a lot of people, I know, well, but this is the point of this. I have said that in public before, and people have wagged their fingers at me and said, how dare you? We use that park all the time. You're full of it. So the idea of a comprehensive plan is to get more than one perspective together and be like, well, okay, how many kids are we talking about? What is the correct budget for this? Because I live around the corner from a park. I take my nieces there as often as I can, but they don't live in this county. They're not taxpayers here. So that's a very, I think, sort of low stakes thing. But then, we're gonna look at things like, solar farms. Some people would like to sell their land to solar farms. Other people would like those people to go straight to hell. So the idea is not that this has legal force. This is to give decision makers on the town board, the zoning board of appeals, and the planning board, this is what the community wants. This is what they said they wanted. So this is how you're supposed to proceed.
And it's also, I think, has to protect the citizens for those who want to sell their land for a solar farm and for those who don't want to. I don't think we should have the authority in any format at all to tell someone, no, you can't sell your land to someone who wants to do the solar farm. They sell it, then they come into us.
Yeah, we can have some things to say about the tax arrangement.
Exactly.
And communication with like our community and neighbors about choices they might have. Some people, we hear a lot about aging farmers in the community feeling very limited about what options they might have if they're no longer producing that thing that they were farming and producing. So what other options do we have in our community? So people, maybe they want a solar farm, but maybe they don't. Maybe they want something else entirely.
And that's why we do a comprehensive plan, because like in the ag bulletins, there's other ways for farmers to make money.
I'm right with you. I'm sorry, I'm with you. I'm doing it right now.
55 cents an acre every 3 years. I'm not an advocate for solar, but that's a big part of it. So like if you go to the public with that, if there is a farmer that's too tired to farm anymore because it's hard to farm, and that's a paycheck for that individual.
Of course it is.
Right, and so listening to that person and learning and being able to provide choice from a comprehensive lens of what else could you do if you wanted to, so then they can make an informed choice for themselves and their family. And it's not us dictating or being paternalistic about what people need to do with their land, because that's not, no one's trying to do that. Yeah, and it's a curiosity thing about what people are up to and what they need and what's gonna help them. Not that it's that simple.
It's
No.
No, it's not simple at all, but.
But like we did Cornell's like forest owner program. We get sent out as volunteers to meet people and talk about their land. What do you want to do? What are you excited about? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a beautiful way to get to know people and what they're curious about. What does it mean to you? And what do you want to do with it? And then being able to come back.
People brainstorm, that's when
It's beautiful.
You get a beautiful sense of where folks' imaginations are at.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
You know, just like, and one thing about doing this planning work in this moment is whether there's a lot of volatility, that it's not a stretch to know there's a lot of volatility in the near term. And then, extrapolating that out, even there's a bunch of gifted planners in this room. None of us know what 2029 plus is going to look like, locally, nationally, or otherwise. And so, I think this is a real opportunity for us to get into the next plan, some of the values that are reflected, and talk about intent rather than, like preserving the rural character, it means something. There's a something there that it means to all of us, but that could be horrifying to hear defined by somebody who has a particular idea of what that might mean that's very far away from perhaps your own. And so, what we can't do is assume that the position that this committee reaches is gonna please everybody. And I think that, the point in saying that is just to say that everything that's in the 2016 plan was stuff people argued over for a year and a half. And even getting to that point, You know, I was on the phone with somebody, it might have been you, a while ago, saying, hey, I want to get a food truck and set it up on my farm. And I want it to be totally compliant. I don't really plan on operating it on the farm. But then the person was saying well, what's your address? Oh, over on Honey Hollow Road, you're not on a highway. We can't put your food business there. And it was all I could do not to scream, go fuck yourself, to act this person on the other side of the phone. And I hope it wasn't you.
Go ahead, tell them.
But the thing is, you know, after all the right to farm stuff, after all that journey, you know,
Ag
you
district.
know, just trying to, you know, to hear that, like,
It popped
somebody who
people in.
didn't listen to the whole idea and misunderstands it
They'll
is
never
gonna say
accept, no.
that the town, I got that covered. I'm here. But like, you know, the thing is that this needs to be a document that invites the conversation.
Yeah.
So that intent can be understood, so that when a body with enforcement power can consider, you know, the plan needs to be the values.
Well, then impact can be better assessed if you're clear on the intentionality of the work.
But that's a good point, right? Because, I mean, we talked about doing similar stuff, and I don't think it was him we talked.
No,
about.
Well, I'm still gonna call you and scream stuff.
I left this building part in 2009.
But that's part of it though, right? Like, part of what makes New Baltimore great is not just the beautiful farmland we have, right? It's the ability to sustain yourself and make a living on your own property. And to break away from having to
Yes.
have to work for somebody else. Like, that's, again, I plan to retire to a property, so.
I'm curious, how many, because a lot of people in here, but a bunch of entrepreneurs in here, right? Like a bunch of people in here with entrepreneurial, yeah,
And
I
it's
love
hard.
that you named that, we all.
It's always hard, but that's the best part of accomplishing.
So we reached out, and I won't take too long, but we reached out to like some national, like EQIP and stuff like that to help bring some resources to bring our 200-year-old farm back to being a farm. And I more or less, like, from that got like, there's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like literally, when I know there's other people, like, not necessarily in this area, but like, they're literally getting paid to do projects to steward their land.
Yes.
And I'm like, why is it so, like, I'm not looking to factory farm or do anything like that. So
That's really,
I'm with you.
but that's what I was thinking about too. What can we offer
For sure.
our farmers and other people who want to come to this community and do agriculture? Because even, you know, you have to sell $10,000 a year off your property. That's a big chunk of money when you're first starting out. Because I was going to do farm stuff, and they said 10,000. I said, oh, well, forget that. So I was even looking at that as in different kinds of other incentives to incorporate somehow that people can be enticed if they're not already involved in ag, and if they're in ag, what's out there to help them? I mean,
I think that's gonna be a huge study issue.
Yeah.
Our town has not played nice with the neighbors or the state for
That's right.
many decades now. So what Preston's saying is exactly right. There are programs out there. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. Because we have not, you know, you need local buy-in to these programs. And we've started a few of those initiatives in the 6 months we've been in office. But yes, there's more out there that we can do, and we need to find out what it is and how to apply for it and to do it.
when you say that they haven't played nice, give me an example so I have a clear understanding.
Sure. One of the first things we did when we got into office was join the Hudson River Valley Greenway, which offers basically free money if you're a Hudson River town that doesn't want to develop. That if you want to preserve your waterfront, you want to preserve your farmland, they go, great, here's grants. You just need to join it. And 6 months ago, the map of Hudson River, the map of southern New York State, the town boundaries, is just us. So river towns along the Hudson, there were some towns that hadn't joined that were like 50, 60 miles away from the Hudson, but along the Hudson, it was just us. We just didn't join. We didn't want to. We were worried about an eminent domain project that already happened 20 years ago. that didn't involve eminent domain. We haven't looked for other opportunities. We haven't tried to work with it. Like, the state wants us to do what we want to do. The state loves the Hudson River Valley, holds it up as an area of tourism. We just need to
But
see what's out there.
So there's a point of understanding, if I can jump in just real quick. So like, can you go a little further with this, with the example that you offered there? Because the thing for me is like, for what Preston said and what I'm concerned about, is like, if we want to be able to determine what happens on our property, you know, and be sure that nothing we do in this room is going to make that worse. Can you talk about how like that action might affect somebody like our friend here who owns a marina? Like, sorry to single you out, I did just do that, but like, you know, as a business owner on the waterfront, like, I would want to know, like, that nothing that we do in this room is gonna say like, hey, like, the business you bought, this is the business you can develop.
Like adversely impact.
And that doesn't mean every business, every property owner. Doesn't mean that we can't support both, you know, we have to.
No, I can absolutely do that. So with the Hudson River Valley Greenway specifically, I was familiar with the plan for, like, there aren't a lot of restaurants in town. There's just the one. It's good. So I was familiar with the development
Too many
plans.
days.
We need people to have the winter.
There are so many of us that just wanna feed y'all, you have no idea how many of us just wanna feed this community.
But
A bunch of us are right here at this meeting.
what
so
the
we're
Hudson River
tuned in.
Valley Greenway would be really against would be redeveloping waterfront area into an industrial site. What the Donovans have already proposed is opening up a bunch more correct me if I'm wrong, opening up a bunch more riverfront land to public recreation and residential. That fits in with the state plan. That would be supported by the state plan. You know, it's still.
Will they pay for water?
Absolutely
We're working
not.
on it. We're working on it.
Not this particular program, at least. But
No,
they,
not Greenway, but
they,
I'm not wasting any time, you know, just get to the.
but they'd support this specific kind of development because it fits in with the state's idea of what they want the Hudson River Valley to look like, which is what it sounds like most of us want it to look like.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is such a great conversation because, you know, we're finding out where the areas are that we really want to emphasize and re-emphasize that have lost some of their, you know, their ability to do what they do. And there's no reason why, you know, we can't bring them back. We can't bring them back. If that's what was a big foundation of this town, why can't we look at that again and, you know, and say, why not come back to that? And still, we do have to balance. We do have to balance because let's face it, we need to have some economic, you know, growth as well.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that the original plan did suggest. I don't know if it ever came about, was to have an economic development council that continued. And I think that is also something that we haven't got, that we need to get as well. And that council will balance all types and what, you know, what we want to promote. And it's up to us as a town, what we want our town to be, what we want to emphasize and what things we want to put our money and efforts to, you know.
You know, maybe it doesn't need to be said among you, but it's very critical that some things be done quickly. And so our work will be under pressure. I'm talking about District 3, I'm talking about the Limestone Farm and the Woodhull Farm. What is gonna happen to District 3 if we lose those two farms to development?
We were appreciating one of those properties on the way here, just like.
Woodhull is on the verge. Marilyn is not.
Yeah, she's not.
And she only has one daughter, maybe that could take it over, but I don't think she could do it alone.
And we've watched one company come in, do 3 major subdivisions. And I have to say, they come in and they have their act together.
And they come from isn't it Syracuse area?
Binghamton area.
You're thinking of land and lakes.
Yes. And, you know, we have no way, you know, these people are selling their property
Mhm.
and, you know, people come into the public hearings and they are angry that we are going to approve this project, but we cannot not approve it. You know, and I don't think we should not approve it either because this is their land.
It's their land, it's their right to
That's
sell.
what they
Exactly.
work for,
But-
them, you
right.
know,
But
and
the last subdivision, the people that own the property called this company to come and do, there was the green Koksaki, and
it
then,
was a combination.
yeah, there was only 13 lots in our town, but I think there was like 40.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it was.
Yes,
they were on the
and
bank.
Forty
I
in
mean,
Cooksaki.
All those farms, what is that, 26?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I was
Vandenberg
like,
Road too.
But there's a balance, there
Heinz
can
Farm.
always be a balance.
the problem is
And you
the
can,
people.
I mean, there is.
there's, look at, we're getting bombarded, I mean, everyone's moving out of New York City, and I don't blame them. I mean, where I live is very popular with very expensive homes now, like I'm
Yeah,
talking $1 million
I
a
know.
pop.
Oh,
You know, I used to joke with my mother, we're gonna have to move out of the area because, but, so there again, we just had a big 250 acres, we
Mhm.
subdivided. They had made it into 3, they sold off the house, the other parts are all for sale.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, whoever comes in there can subdivide.
It's within their legal rights as
Exactly.
long as they meet
So,
the.
You know, how do you we say we want a balance, but how do you do that? Because you can't say no to people. I mean, that's the.
Or how do we
prerogative.
attract alternatives to people who would come to that same property but maybe utilize it in a different way?
That's the whole reason why we're here, right? Like,
Right.
we have to listen to,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna say data center, but I don't believe in it. So, but like, when options like that come to
Well,
us,
it's
those
in
are
the
gonna
Times
be things.
Union every day.
But that'll bring an income to the town as well if we structure it right. So
Absolutely.
there is a
Whoa,
balance.
whoa,
that
whoa,
we-
If they're gonna
No,
take
take
it, yeah.
exception with that,
Right.
because
Well, if it's done right, they have to provide
Wait a
their own
minute.
electricity.
what have they done for us for all this solar? We get the shit end of the deal.
You're absolutely correct.
Absolutely, 1 second, just to jump in, I think Preston was just offering us like an example,
Yeah,
but
right.
we're not in
Yeah, no,
subcommittee yet,
I'm
we
not
got our
for it.
action plan
I'm
yet.
not for a
But
But
company.
no, you're right, all of these big industries that exploit, they all have more money and power than everybody in this room.
And no corporation lives here.
And that's, so we all gotta be mindful of that, I think that's total, I think I'm looking around, not to pull out the facility, but I think we got agreement on that. We don't want people coming in and telling us who we're supposed to be, how
Pull
we're
up that
supposed to.
facilitator, whatever.
I mean, Danny, I'm still on the edge, I'm not really sure. I'm trying, I'm doing my best, I'm
That's,
trying.
that's all I'm saying though, right? Like, we have to look at ways that helps kind of check all the boxes for the
Yes.
entire community.
And not say no, but make
Finances
sure,
are part of it.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Because look at these solar companies, they're
Oh, God.
paying, agricultural, if they're paying any taxes, I'll say that, they're paying based on agricultural. What the
Right.
hell?
It's
These
not
are $6
commercial.
million projects,
Right.
8 million. Okay.
Solar farms
Yeah.
are farms like nut milk is milk, like, it's just fucking marketing, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well,
But you can't
okay,
raise
so
your
we're
sheep on
gonna-
the panel.
we're gonna-
No, you can't. No, you'd be dead.
Good.
Guys,
Yeah,
so
they
we're
can
gonna have to kind of get back to this, like. some
We
of the-
definitely have to have another house meeting, though, right before you split us up, we'll have to have a couple more.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because we gotta get to know each other and like, how, yeah, this is great.
No, this is really important, and yeah, I think, you know, the subcommittees are a later part of it, we'll meet together, and so wait, a couple of quick questions. Do we wanna meet every 2 weeks or 3 weeks for a few times, to get a little good head start?
Well, we're at about closing time now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think we hit the first.
Yeah, we.
So I think the answer is probably, yeah, we
So
probably need
2
more.
weeks or 3? 2?
2, I would think.
Two, okay, well, so we'll go for a 2 week.
The more meetings we have, the more, like, not everyone's gonna be able to make every meeting.
Right, but this will roll over
So,
to the one.
That's
that-
exactly, that's
Okay.
exactly what I'm trying to say.
Okay, and 90 minutes is good, we can look into Zoom and Teams, but I don't know if that's something that we should do.
23rd.
23rd or the 30th?
know if we're ready for that.
Yeah, I think we.
I think we'll
yeah, I
stay
think we
without
need-
it.
Yeah.
We can
21st
hear
is
Ellie's
tough.
house
Okay.
or where?
We want to have public
Honey,
comment.
you can take over the whole place, I don't care.
Deb, we're looking at the 23rd.
23rd or 23rd?
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Yeah.
these ladies can attest to it. I'm not
So-
just
so
being
for you,
bitchy.
travel
We hear you, we're not taking it like that,
I
Oh, yeah,
would
yeah,
have said
good
that
idea.
I think Preston has a question. I know we have.
Let's do one conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One conversation,
one
everyone.
conversation, guys, okay. Okay, who's conversed?
I think Wednesdays would work a little bit better for me than a Tuesday.
Wednesday.
If,
If you wanna work around his schedule.
well, I'm just sort of like,
Hey,
I can make it work.
Wednesday, we got Monday town boards, we got Tuesday, who's on Tuesday?
Oh, no, we have a singing class on Wednesdays, that's the only thing for us.
Oh,
Well, wait, it picks up at the end of the summer. Not that you all need to know that, but it's with a group of community people who study things like herbalism and agriculture and plant health. Yeah,
oh,
so
you
it's,
can invite us.
So that's
I'll have to
Wednesday.
talk to you.
yeah, I'd love to.
Okay,
For Wednesday.
I would get to take a show of hands. Wednesdays,
Sure.
okay?
Mondays and
For now.
Tuesdays are easier for me because
Wednesdays,
restaurants
oh,
open
right,
Wednesday.
okay.
Wait a minute,
So do
restaurant.
Okay,
Does that work
Tuesday,
for you?
and if it's if I just might miss one, we go
Okay,
through
that's
that.
okay, because like I said, there's 4 or 5 people.
But yeah, but maybe sometimes, I don't know if it would make things too complicated, if we're gonna be talking, it can change like a Tuesday or a
Oh,
Wednesday,
sure,
right? So we can make
flexible,
sure
yeah.
that,
I think
yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
beautiful, that's.
So our next meeting will be Tuesday, in 2 weeks,
And
and
she
the.
can
2 weeks is the
Wednesday.
23rd, 3 weeks is the
Okay,
30th.
so the 23rd of,
Okay.
June, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, we don't have the board meeting.
Oh, God.
God, I hope not.
Okay, and
Same time?
90 minutes, or should we extend it? Should we do 2 hours for
I think
another
the,
few?
Oh, I don't know.
without
about that.
intros, we can probably have a more focused,
Yeah, 90
90
minutes.
minutes.
Well, that focus is gonna be key, right?
Yeah,
We've got about here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but.
Maybe a timekeeper would be good.
But,
Can we skip it?
Yeah. So we're not gonna, let's not talk about the subcommittees right now.
Okay.
Because we know that's not gonna happen.
It's
right
on-
We're
now.
gonna do it here, or where are we gonna do it?
No, next meeting I will try to get, I'll try to get Cornell or Medway. And we'll announce which way it's
Okay.
gonna be.
And so I would just ask, if we don't need to talk about the subcommittees, but everyone has that information, right?
Yes.
So if you, I would just ask anyone to email me if you think, something should be added, something should be combined, anything like that. Or just, I would really appreciate, just to kind of get the ball rolling on efficiency, just some preliminary thoughts from everyone on which subcommittees they feel like they're gravitating towards.
Right.
So we can get sort of a handle on that. No need to make a final decision, just some things will be easy, some things will take a little more finessing.
Do you want me to just make a Google form poll or something for the group, so we can get weighted answers?
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, somebody sent me an email about what they were interested in, but that would be
I
better.
think it was.
Yeah, I should,
No,
love
it's a
it.
lady.
Oh, okay.
Then keep taking it.
I've got to do everything through my government email, which is Outlook.
Oh.
So yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so you can do it. Okay, great. Okay, good, so good.
I
Who-
think
okay,
it's
steering committee. Steering committee, so I'll go running away now.
I think same thing, I think just,
Okay, you can get that in the Google.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
start
expressions
there.
of interest and we can go from there.
Okay, okay.
So good, yeah, steering committee questions.
Yeah, so, okay.
And I know that there are at least a couple people who aren't here tonight who did express distinct interest in being on the steering committee, so I don't want to shut them out because they weren't able to be here.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to take a vote or anything, I just was saying, you know, it is. Okay, I think we can go.
I have a question. So at the next meeting, what, is your plan?
Okay, well, so I do have a kind of a brief meeting, next meeting agenda at the end, as just a proposed, meeting agenda again. They had introductions of the committee members at every meeting, not among ourselves, but for the public, but we don't necessarily have to do that. So just a summary of items discussed at the previous meeting. This is kind of going on once we have more, I think, topics that we definitely want to assign to each other and hit. So, I said summary of items discussed at previous meeting, including summary of subcommittee. So that's a little further down the line. Public comment period, the length of time, do we want to have public comment periods? Because right now it was very flexible, we opened it up, it was just a few people. But if we do get a larger group, we have to determine how we want to handle the public comment period. conduct discussions and then go to breakouts, research findings, et cetera, and set objectives for the next meeting. So we didn't really set objectives for our next meeting, which is, I think, important to guide us going forward. But why don't you all just send some emails about your thoughts to the objectives for the next meeting?
I would like by the end of the next meeting to at least have a steering committee and to have a pretty solid idea of who's gonna be on which subcommittee. Because without a steering committee, it's harder to make plans. We don't need to want a budget for anything. So those would be my objectives.
Yeah, we will need to budget for these small houses, you know, but, okay, so that's an objective. Tell us what committees you're interested in, what steering committee.
Okay, I'm gonna push it a bit here. Okay, I agree. We'll know, steering committee will know committees, but we still need to discuss.
I think the next meeting should be largely devoted to
Oh,
looking
yeah,
at the
that's what
old
I'm-
comprehensive plan,
Yes.
talk about what we think is good to keep, what we think needs to be updated
And
or
go-
changed.
And go through it by section maybe?
Right, that's what I really was thinking. The next meeting would focus a lot on the comprehensive plan.
Maybe, right? I think if the next meeting is focused on setting up the steering committee, getting the subcommittees that people want to be on, having some discussion of those, maybe that's the next
That's
meeting,
what the
right?
one-
Now you have some structure.
Yeah.
And then you review that.
Yeah,
I love that idea, yeah, we could even like team up a little bit with viewing, right, the 2016 version, so we're
Yeah.
coming
Through the
in.
lens of our,
I think,
sorry.
I think that, like we said, that would be kind of a starting point for
Yeah,
2016,
yeah.
and that we would grow or change from there. So,
Is the zoning book online?
the zoning code is online, but we
So-
could send it, I'll send it to everybody.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not talking about the comprehensive, I'm talking about the zoning, the zoning.
It's online, but some of the sections I don't think are up to the.
No, there's
Okay.
empty sections. There's
Okay.
definitely-
There's empty sections, but there's sections that are not valid.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a, you know.
But
Are there
that is
any
why
extra
any of
copies
these
that
comes
we
to
can
zoning court basing their
have
decisions.
available
Of
to
course,
us,
that's right.
or-
So,
Of
Unless
course
you
it
mean
is, but then when
printed
they come in
copies?
front of us,
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah, we
tell
can
them
get,
that's
we
not
can
right.
make copies of the code.
but that's,
Okay.
that's
You want the
unfair
zoning
to.
code,
The zoning code,
Yeah,
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 that would be
no,
helpful.
it's not, you know, so
That's
I-
right.
until you change it, that
Well,
is.
no,
See what that.
No, but I'm saying until the zoning board changes those, you can't
No,
change the
but wait,
rules.
they've been changed.
They
They
have
just haven't been updated?
They've
Yeah,
been
they've been-
changed and they haven't, there's certain parts that are not updated.
Updated in the book.
I don't know why, okay, but there is a section on it, okay?
That ones that are, that's updated, but they're just not implemented into the different sections.
There's a
Okay.
section that was updated years ago, but it's not updated. That section is not
On
updated.
the, on the,
Yes.
On the web.
yeah, and same like even with the solar law.
Oh, yeah,
That was
that's-
another thing. So, okay, okay. We'll do the steering committees, we'll do the subcommittee assignments, and then if we have time, I would like to at least start to hack at looking at the old comprehensive plan and see how far we can get on that. Okay,
May we agree to each read it before the next meeting?
that's what I mean. Yeah, we would each read it and then we kind of start to make our notes, what we feel strongly about, change, add, whatever. And then talk about section by section.
Are you gonna get Cornell or do you want me to?
Well, I'll, you know what, I'll just ask Cornell when they have availability, if you don't mind doing the same for Medway, and then we can figure out which one is available for the next meeting. Okay? Okay.
There's some pertinent laws that aren't reflected in the town code. I think the solar law,
That's what we just said, the solar law, yeah.
it's on the books, it's a valid local
Yeah.
law,
It should be
but it ain't in
done.
the town code.
It's not in the code, you know where it is, it was placed on the website in a place that nobody can ever find it, so I'll change that. I'll send it to everybody as well.
It should be a file with the Secretary of State also.
It is. It has
Yeah.
been.
Oh, that has been, yeah.
Yes.
That has been.
Right. you can't find everything within one set of covers, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
This was fantastic.
Yes, I will say not. I have that face.
I was just made aware of the long-standing complaint you've had about derelict homes in Colorado, is that right?
Yes, that was on East County Holiday.
Is there any progress or satisfaction?